Perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the RChain nominations interviews. We're here with Bulkin, who's from CoinFund. And essentially what this is we're doing interviews with people. The RChain is kind of interviewing people to gather a nomination for sort of directors of the co-op, the cooperative structure, which is going to be developed. So, Alex, how are you doing today? What's going on? You okay?
Hey, I'm great. I'm currently in Montreal, and it's very snowy here and beautiful.
Lovely, lovely, cool. Well, let's get straight into it. What excites you then about RChain?
So basically, as part of what we were doing at CoinFund for a while, we were contacting every single team that was doing anything remotely interesting in crypto. And I was, we knew about Scenario RChain, we knew about Greg Meredith, we read the white papers that existed as of about a year ago. And then at some point when I was passing through Seattle, I reached out to Greg and I said, hey, Greg, let's sit down and meet and talk and find out who we are. And we met with him and Ed Eichholt, at a cafe, and Greg was talking to me about his vision for the crypto space and for RChain and the RChain ecosystem, and I got genuinely impressed. And I was impressed about a few things. And back at that point, I did not fully understand the nature of Greg's approach that he's putting into RChain and Rolang, because to be honest, it's quite innovative and it's kind of a little bit hard to wrap your head around. But what really impressed me is that Greg was thinking about it very holistically. He drew up a picture for me in which he kind of put the blockchain and then put a whole roadmap for developing a number of applications that were to be based on RChain, and the reason for that ordering applications, and he in very simple things like online dating, and then the next stage would be social networking, and then the next stage would be finance, economic systems, and then the next stage would be governance, and each of these stages, and that roadmap looked to me very well thought out, because he was obviously starting with applications that had fairly low security requirements, and then going into more and more sort of security critical areas, and the whole thing seemed very very well thought out and very, very reasonable to me. And I hardly ever saw a lot of people think at that level, because we knew about Ethereum for a long time. We spoke with Jai Kwan of Cosmos, we spoke with Arthur Brightman of Tezos, and a lot of them kind of tend to think in fairly contained terms. It's like, this is what the blockchain is going to do. But Greg was really working towards a very holistic vision. And so I was very impressed by his approach, and also very impressed by his personality.
Very cool. Thank you very much for that. Let's get into the second question then. What are some use cases that you'd like to see enabled through, let's say, decentralized app development on the RChain protocol, or just the decentralized environment that this will be creating in general?
So I think of this like I will not be giving you an answer that is standard of the like, I want to see social networking, I want to see finance. To me, the power of RChain is in its usability for critical applications. And so to me, I worked at a financial institution for a long time, and I have a really good understanding of the kinds of needs that a business has. And many of those needs can, what businesses currently do is they put their data in a database of some sort. It could be a relational database, it could be an object database, it could be a NoSQL name value pairs database, whatever that is. There's always some sort of rapid development infrastructure underlying a business. And, I'm hoping that there will be an infrastructure in crypto in the decentralized space, which will become a kind of a default go-to rapid development infrastructure, where if I'm running a coffee shop and I want to quickly put together a token and a database that gives my token holders transparency into my business, then I can sit down and do something as easily as what people currently do with their small business websites or their small business bank accounts. Like, I want that to be a natural step for any business, small or large, to go and say, what decentralized platform can we use to get the kind of stuff that decentralized platforms give us, which is obviously transparency, obviously trustless decentralized finance, and obviously consensus-based permanent data storage, right? And I kind of see RChain to really be going in that direction quite well, because RChain is because Rolang is a highly composable language, unlike even Solidity, and the way that Greg sees scalability issues, and scalability needs is probably going to work when it comes to incredibly large scale adoption.
Right. So what do you think the challenges are of the RChain cooperative in its inception? What do you think the challenges are that it will face?
So that's a complicated question. So in my long journey around multiple disciplines, I dabbled a little bit in practice and theory of conflict resolution. And believe it or not, I have actually worked as a facilitator at an intentional community, which was structured as a co-op. And I know that, co-op-based structures really very often fall prey to this dynamic that, once the initial group of visionaries, go through the initial stages where, they all come together under the same vision, and they all come together to build something, and they all have a very good shared understanding of what they're building. But then there comes a time when the community grows and the group expands, and a lot of new players and new people come, and the power dynamics become complicated because the vision the co-op is built upon could be a vision of world peace and ecological sustainable development and stuff like that, but then they build something really good, and a lot of other people will come because they like the atmosphere, and they like and they like the process, and they like the in this case it's meaningful to talk about how good the tools are that Greg is going to build, and these new people will challenge the old vision. And some people will say, we want to use RChain to to drive oil extraction, for example. I'm just throwing things out, but then there will be collisions and conflicts. And to me, conflicts are a good thing because they allow things to progress and grow. But conflicts become complicated when when a cooperative is built on a consensus governance platform. Here, the word consensus is used slightly differently. I'm sure everybody understands. It's related to universal agreement to decisions. And to me, how you structure your governance so that it carries through that initial period of conflict and is able to adjust the vision of what is being done, what is being built, is really, really important. So, you know, I know I'm being slightly abstract, but I think, you know, to me, the thing that the RChain cooperative is probably going to do just fine for about 2 to 3 years, right? It's going to be great. There's going to be awesome, productive discussions. Everybody's going to, you know, adopt the innovation that Greg and other developers bring into the platform, and everybody's going to love it. And then there will come the next step when there's a lot of economic incentive involved. And that is going to be complex.
Fantastic, Aleksandr. Thank you. Okay, so we've gone over this question a little bit, but I think we can make it a bit more concise than otherwise. So, what is you know, I guess your complete background, and what is your experience with growing organizations and otherwise?
So my background is I'm a trained software developer. I worked at the large Wall Street bank for a really long time, developing exchange connectivity components and working on issues of usability and human error prevention in those places. I've studied, as I said, I studied organizational psychology and conflict resolution. I've done some philosophical work in human behavior and consensus behavior. And for the past 6 months, I've been working on CoinFund, which is a consulting and an investment company in crypto. Done a lot of research in crypto. Connected with a number of people in the field. I also have a startup that is developing a product called Upstand, which is a web app for community empowerment and social change that is currently in very early stages. And so, you know, I don't have specific experience growing an organization, but I've seen organizations at all stages of growth. So during my work on Wall Street, I've seen how a very large organization operates, and I've seen the things that it does well and things that it does badly. And you know, now I'm also part of some very small teams doing very early stage things. So, you know, this will be a learning experience for me, but I feel that you know, I can bring a lot of value through, you know, all the disciplines and all the groups that I've been part of over my lifetime.
Fantastic, thank you for that. The next question is, so, you know, in the space in general, do you have any other favorite projects or other decentralized or open source projects, or, you know, what you're really liking about the space right now, or what you looking outside the space right now at?
Well, so I mean, it's hard to talk about favorites. I know that I'm most interested and engaged with RChain right now. You know, if you pick one project, I also really love, and I would love to understand more, this other project called Urbit, which I don't know if you heard about it or not. It's also highly innovative and very interesting, and also does some amazing things, promises to do amazing things. And Curtis is a very unique, original thinker, just like Greg, in a slightly different way. But I'm following a number of projects. We're following Tezos, we're following Cosmos, we're following Media Chain. You know, I can keep listing them. There's like a really large number of the projects we're following. Jake is working on EtherRisk, which is a decentralized insurance platform, and I'm following that pretty closely as well. And in general, you know, already said what sort of thing I'm looking for to be developed. So, and I think that's RChain right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Very good, very good. What do you think some of your strengths are as a person, or in sort of your business integrity or otherwise, that you can sort of bring to RChain, or that you'd like to impose not impose, I guess that's kind of the wrong word, but to, to add, let's say.
So, I think my biggest strength is that I am a multidisciplinary thinker at the core of it. And I think whenever you work on a project in crypto, it's really important to understand how technology interacts with humanity. And a lot of times people have a really limited perspective on, the quality of technology outside of how it's used. But I think for me, you can't really talk about consensus without talking about human consensus. You can't talk about, changing the world with technology without understanding what the world needs and how people think. And so I think, more than anything, I think that bringing a working understanding of, psychology and social psychology and collective behavior together with my quite extensive experience as a developer and some experience as in finance, and other things, I think that's probably my biggest strength. There's probably others. I think experience in business and experience, in large organizations is helpful. I think being creative is helpful, but that is the one I would place as being first and foremost.
Fantastic. Very, very good. So what were some of your favorite moments, let's say, in the development of the, the kind of the movement from these platforms? So let's say, the movement of Scenario to RChain, what was some of the key defining moments for you? What were some of your favorite moments? These could be from, like community hangouts, for example, but what was your general sort of favorite moment or, favorite idea or something that you just held on to?
To be honest, I don't think I have an answer. I probably would say that meeting Greg was like a defining moment. I think interacting with Greg, the interactions I've had with him, trying to understand his approach over the past couple of days, were incredibly interesting and educating, and I will surely try to continue that if our time permitting. But I think that we as a community are just discovering what's happening, and I know that some people have like an explanation of what's happening is decentralized finance, what's happening is democratization of banking, what's happening is cross-jurisdictional cooperation. But my sense of it is that we're just beginning to scratch the surface of possibilities. And I'm very excited to see kind of where this goes.
Great. What are some examples, let's say, of decisions that the co-op board should not make, but leave to the community consensus, leave to the members of the cooperative? I was thinking about this question over the past, couple of days. It's a difficult question to answer because, of course, everything should be decided on a case-by-case basis. I think, to me, anybody who develops tools for other people has to step into a very difficult role of realizing that the tools that they build will be used for purposes that they don't understand yet. And so to me, it's really important that when people who talk about democracy also include in that people who disagree with them, right? And so to me, I think one important area in which the RChain community, the RChain development community and co-op and board should really not be part of is deciding what it's going to be used for.
and in any way influencing the potential applications of the technology that we're developing. We just have to trust that the tools we're developing are going to empower the right people to do the right thing, ultimately.
Perfect. And so thank you very much for all that, Aleksandr. The final thought now: why should people get you into this position as a director from your own position, and any final thoughts that you would like to give?
I don't think they should. I think I'm stubborn. I think I'm argumentative. I think I don't know why anybody would give me that place at all. I stand up for what I believe. So if you don't like that, then don't invite me.
Very good. Yeah, very interesting. Very cool. That's been Aleksandr Bulkin from CoinFund, one of the candidates for a directorship of the sort of board of the RChain Corp. And thank you very much for the interview, Aleksandr. Really appreciate it. And hope you do really well from it. And hopefully it grows and the system grows and otherwise. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.